I like both you and Ethan. It's tough to watch. See, this is also the other thing that I didn't want, which was like chatters coming in here to like spark drama. There are certain things that I will not abide by. If you come in here and say, "I wish you control your audience more against the," is completely unacceptable. You're being disrespectful to me, and you're being disrespectful to the thousands of Jewish members in this community that are prominent members of this community for many, many years. Is completely abhorrent and
I have found myself. So you're going to get accused of being like insensitive to various situations, right? Neurodivergence, race, ethnicity, religion, bada 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 bada. Because if you have an opinion, other people are going to think your opinion's wrong, all right? And they're either going to counter the opinion by saying the opinion's wrong and here's why, or they're just going to use sophistry to tell you you can't have that opinion in some way by either sea lioning, you know, and saying like, oh, your opinion's blah blah blah, or like, you know, you're racist for having that opinion, or that's a racist opinion, or I feel like that opinion might be racist, you know what I mean? Or sexist, gendered, bada 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 bada, you know, not actually engaging with the content. It's easy, and I've almost found myself doing this. I might have even done it, and I want to try to actively not do it. And it's something that even if, you know, if I disintegrate and become a bad person, you should hold other streamers to this too. And that is using the composition of your audience to justify ignoring criticisms of your behavior, right? To some degree, it's okay. And it's like, you know, like, hey, I think you're like 1 billion% racist. And you're like, well, I mean, like, I have some people, I feel like somebody would have told me, like, you can kind of go to that. But I can't be racist. I can't be sexist. I can't be ableist. I can't be this, that, because I have a high percentage or a high amount, really, just not even a high percentage, just a high amount of these type of people in my audience is bad politics. It's bad argumentation. And I think it's like, it comes off a little offensive. And like, this happened with the first, like, me being the cringe social studies teacher and accidentally reading the N-word of the Biggie Smalls lyrics, where people are like, oh, you know, like, it's members of my audience that I know are black are like, hey, you know, whatever, blah, 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 we could give you the pads. I'm like, no, like, literally don't do that. Literally don't do that. Because I immediately felt the urge to like say like, hey, is it okay? And like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have people in your audience just so that you and like notice them specifically for them to give you an out for stuff. You know, there's gradients to it, obviously, just being like joking about, you know, neurodivergent and things that like a large amount of you know, if it's in better taste than not, that's okay. But I think the hard line at the end of the day, saying it's offensive to the members of my audience that are part of a minority for you to say that I am against that minority, I think is like terrible argumentation, because it really just puts the onus on them. Like, you really are just going like, whoop, you know, and you're just judo throwing people at your audience, and specifically at a minority subsection of your audience who now kind of as audience members are like, oh no, actually, like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but if you're a Jewish member of Hasan's audience, you should be supportive of him, you know, because you got to show that you're one of the good Jews in the audience, kind of, you know. So like, if somebody was like, Tyler, you're racist for this, you know, FD Signifier came out, it's like, Tyler, this is a racist take that you have, okay, and it was just absolute just trash, right? Tyler, you said that you like roses, and that's racist, and you're racist for saying that. Like, okay, meeting the argument as, okay, well, I don't know how that's racist, or like blah blah, like that's a crazy thing to say. Like, can we have that conversation? Or just, you know, like, if it's a nobody saying like, yeah, f off, you know, or ignoring them is okay. Even for something that's that stupid, profoundly dumb, it would be a terrible argument for me to say like, okay, you saying that I'm racist, and I have like dozens of black people in my audience. I have been keeping strict account. You know, I know the specific number of dark-skinned melanated individuals by gradient in my audience at all times. I cannot be. It's offensive for you to say I'm racist to them. All right, isn't it, guys? You know that's what it feels like to me. Is like, I don't know if you understand this, but they're here, right? You know, like, can you, to me, when people do that, it's not just Hasan, other people do it too for other things, right? Vosh is very notable for, it's like, hey, Vosh, you're being kind of a chaser. You're being weird about trans people. And he goes, I have a lot of transgender people in my audience. And I think, you know, it's kind of crazy that you would say that with all the transgenders I keep around. And it's like, don't maybe lead from the front with your representation. I think lead from the front. You know what I mean? Because you're an individual. I'm not Jewish. So, like, if there's Jewish people in my audience, they're not me. And they don't represent me, and I don't represent them. They're just members of my audience. They like me for me, my content, right? They're not here to be the Jewish, the pro-Tyler Jewish caucus. You know, I don't have the congressional Tyler Black Caucus, women's caucus in here to, like, justify my... I don't need... Because that's the same as pick-me culture. In my opinion, it's just like, okay, it's not ostensibly anti-Semitism that you're asking like a Jewish person to endorse, but it's still like, hey, could you be like a pick me for me? Like, can I get a Jew up here? You know, we got some Jews back. Can I get one of my Jews up here to agree with me? Like, that's the same bad politics that we've seen for a long time that we're all supposed to not be okay with, because first off, it's just bad argumentation. It doesn't actually meet the criticism at all, which we saw in this. It was like, hey, can you maybe tell your audience to chill out a little bit? Some of them are coming off anti-Semitic. And he's like, oh, you know, it's very insulting to me for you to say, and the Jews in my audience, for you to say that I'm being anti-Semitic. I was like, I don't know, man. I think it's more insulting to meet claims of anti-Semitism by fucking throwing Jewish people between you and the claims, you know? Fucking... very all Jewish people could get free train rides in Germany in the 1940s type energy, you know. And you know, it's an immediate lazy reaction in your mind to want to go for that, because, you know, I have different types of people in my audience and they talk, but the thing is like, I want people to be comfortable being audience members before you have to be some representative of some. I don't want you to have to be that. It's not like you can't talk about your issues. But I think that becomes too common in lefty spaces, especially where it's like, you know, all of a sudden I need people to all, like, you know, specifically as a blah, 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 I'm going to say these things. Because once you start valuing that as a thing in your community, then I feel like you start drawing people toward it. You know, like, I don't want people to have to start saying, like, as a Jewish member of Tyler's community, bada, 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 bada. Like, literally just let me, like, literally, it goes into don't defend me. That's the don't defend me thing. Because if people start having to defend me, you have to put yourself between me and other people, usually not in the context of the actual argument itself. Very often is what I also see in lefty spaces especially, but obviously the right, but the right kind of fairly compensates to some degree their pick-me's. You know, they have the 5 or 6, so they're so valuable. They all have jobs. And just on this side, like, if we get to a spot where, you know, it's like, you know, as a black person, as a black woman, I've got a Tyler, you know, bada, don't do it. Just let me die. Let me feed me to the wolves. Don't do that. I don't need it. I hate it when other fucking communities do it. They try to come in here, and I'm glad that I don't have to see you guys doing that. I think it's really, really unethical. And also cringe, and it needs to be called out more in other streamers. And if I do it, also burn me. Literally burn me for it. Leave my community. Say, I learned one good thing from Tyler's community, that this type of behavior is bad, and when he started doing it, I left because he was bad. I would love that. That's fine. That's perfect. Bye. Go ahead. You deserve better, okay? I'm never going to try to convince you guys to stay either. If you're upset with me, go. It's okay. Maybe you take a little bit of time away and you might come back because you're bored, you know? But I don't think that's a good argumentation. I'm actually like, I wanted to focus on that. I know it's not the entire video. Shout out the Hasan enjoyers that are going to pop into chat and be like, he didn't mean that. He did. He did. That's why he said it. That's the other thing we're going to pop into before we get to could you please reinterpret this statement that my person made explicitly and is kind of just very obviously their statement? Could you please interpret that in the most not literally at all what they said way, period? That cringe. Just understand this. If you're somebody else's fan and you come to my community, I don't want any of you doing this because I find it cringe. Don't go to other people's community and say like, I think you're misunderstanding Tyler. Like what he really said was, don't bother. Literally don't bother. Don't bother. Because first off, the other streamers are not going to give up. They're going to treat you like chatters, which you are. And then they're just going to not care. Worst comes to worst, you might get highlighted and then you'll get one guyed by a guy who can literally kick you out of the community and shout into a microphone while they're on a camera. So don't just, it's a waste of time. But also, like, you kind of set yourself up for getting your ass kicked. And I don't want to have to keep doing that to other streamers, individuals. And it's just like embarrassing for the streamer, and it's embarrassing for you to come up and be like, I'm clearly deluding myself into thinking this person is saying something that's completely different, which is how it's going to read anyway, in a general sense. Like if you don't have a personal connection with somebody, trying to convince them based on your own like goodwill, good faith, and reputation isn't going to work because they don't know anything about it. They just see a name and I disagree with you, which is immediately hostile. So it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and I don't need it, and I think it's cringe. Shout out to Hasan people. We're going to come in here. You needed to watch 15 more minutes of this video. I don't think he meant that. He wouldn't say that as a Jewish member of his community. I don't think he would make that point. Like, bro, you could just call me a slur. I'll have more respect for you. It'll have more impact on my day, right? I might laugh about it. But when I get this, like, as a blank member of this person's community, I think you're a little off base making this criticism. Because also it goes into you're a name on the internet, all right? If you're not at least a orbiter and I can see your face and, like, I know about you, like, your skin color and your history and your ethnicity and your entire life, why would I believe that you are actually this person? I've been on the internet for 20 plus years, you know what I mean? Like, as a black person on the internet, like, okay, 14-year-old white boy, you know what I mean? Like, if I don't know you, I'm not gonna entertain the possibility that you're not Joey Bonarinoing me, and trying to proud black woman your way into a argument. Which, if you know even if you are a minority and you know other people who are minorities, you might be a minority. You don't talk like that normally. You know what I mean? It's very rare to actually hear people do the as a in conversation. The people who do it all the time, people who are sock puppeting other races on the internet. All the time. Constantly. It's the reason they do it. So, like, statistically speaking, if I run into it, I'm just going to say, whatever, okay, that's your opinion, bro. I'm going to have to see, let's get on camera. Let me hear your voice so that I know you are whoever it is you say you are. Because if not, your name's in letters and words, so it just doesn't work. Argue from some other thing than the identity you are literally concealing. Stupid asses. My mommy black, my daddy black. That is Joey Bonarino. Hey, my mommy black, my daddy is a proud black woman. I tell you. It's Donald Trump. I think he's got it. As my mammy used to tell me when she would tuck me into my chitlins at night in our shoe under the highway. Boy, oh boy, these Democrats is racist honkies. And I wish that it was like when we had the Republicans when I was a child. And when I woke up every morning and we spread a loaf of cornbread between me and my 50 sisters and brothers, and before heading off to our jobs at the Black People Factory, boy, I tell you what, I would think about Ronald Reagan every day and how he was trying to save us from that crack epidemic. Okay. Andrew Dice Clay ass black person, yeah. Oh. That was specifically for you, June. That was specifically for you. It's the line of trying to find something that is mildly referential to black culture while being completely wrong and not being completely racist. I'm like, I got exactly 3 Legos to play with to try to stack together there.
Hope you enjoyed your time on the Westside.